Going with you guys. So far, it kind of blows.
You gotta have friends.
Coming this fall on WGN.
We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's a 5-1 ball game. New pitcher for Colorado, right-hander Mike DeGene. But first, let's look at our Ameritech playbook.
Our Ameritech playbook is Henry Rodriguez. After Sammy had homered, Henry comes up, hits a 2-run bomb, putting the Cubs up 3-0 at the time. They haven't been headed, and that is your Ameritech playbook.
Sammy's home run number 42 on the year. He now has a 6-game hitting streak. Sosa pops it foul back our way. With a win today, the Cubs would run their record in the month of July to 19-9. The last time the Cubs had a 19-win month was July of 1979. They went 19-13 in that month and year. So obviously the Cubs having a terrific July here in '98. And it would be certainly fun to see this team do the same thing in the month of August. Sammy hits it up the elevator shaft. And right to the shortstop, Nefi Perez, who gloves it for out number 1. A lot of rumors and stuff along the internet, along the websites, and the radio stations in town, out of town. Fan emails us saying he had heard that the Cubs might be interested in getting John Lieber and Jason Christensen for Brant Brown. I don't think the Cubs want to give Brant Brown away.
I don't believe so either, but I don't think that you could get Lieber and Christensen for Brown.
It would take a lot more than that.
Just, maybe a little more, but I think that they would like to hold on to Brant Brown for a while.
Andy McPhail and Ed Lynch, who's not in your picture, with the trade deadline at 11 o'clock tonight, have a lot of decisions that they hope to make. They obviously would love to get another starting pitcher, but so would everybody in the playoff race this time of year. And it's a question of economics. What do you have to give up to get what you think you need? And if the price is steep to get a player, do you want to rent the guy, or do you want to get a guy that's already under contract for next year, this year obviously, and next year and beyond that perhaps as well? And Grace draws another walk.
Third walk today for Mark Grace. He's tried to be a table setter, and it certainly worked in the first inning when he walked with 2 outs ahead of Henry Rodriguez, and he delivered his 26th home run of the year.
So here's Henry. He's also homered. As Steve mentioned, it was number 26. Back in the first. That's all Kerry Wood has needed today. He's breezed through Colorado with 1 run allowed and only 5 hits. Interesting that Baltimore would pick up Guzman. The Orioles now 2 games above 500. They have been unbelievable since the All-Star break. That ball hit a ton. Deep left center field. At the track and at the wall, Henry's got a 2-home run game.
.27-73 for Henry Rodriguez. 2 today as the Cubs have hit 4. And Don Baylor has seen a whole lot of this year.
It's as if he never left Coors Field.
His pitching staff came in with a team ERA of 5.16, and it's going up from there. And the O. Henry bars cascade in left field.
So a 7-1 game. And Jeff Blauser, the batter. Fifth career 2-homer game for Henry Rodriguez today at Wrigley Field. 2 homers, 4 driven in. And it's good to see somebody other than Sammy Sosa having a big RBI game for the Cubs. Blauser hits a high pop fly down the right field line. Lansing gives chase in foul ground. Can't make the play. He just missed it and just missed injuring himself down in that bullpen.
Both of Henry's home runs have come to left center. This fastball up and out over the plate. Mike DeGene is taken out of the ballpark for just the 4th time this year. Curtis Goodwin looks up, and for Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly? 377 happy feet. Jeff Blauser gets another life. This one missed after a long run, and then former Cub Chuck McElroy trying to help out Michael Lansing in the bullpen area.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Blauser. Foul back, but to finish up that point on Baltimore, they're 17-3 since the All-Star break.
That's one of the reasons why they were in the addition mode, trading some youngsters for a guy they think can help them right today. And he makes that pitching staff pretty formidable.
That would be a comeback of epic proportions for Baltimore. They were 38-50 at the All-Star break. 55-53 now. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Jeff is aboard. Second walk from DeGene. One on, 1 out, 2 in for Tyler Houston. His modest 2-game hitting streak is on the line with an 0 for 3 day today. Swing and a foul tip into the catcher's glove. It's 0-1. Seven runs, 6 hits for the Cubs. 1 run, 5 hits for Colorado. The Cubs trying to go 3-0 against the Rockies. We took 2 from them out west. Remember, Henry Rodriguez hit the first grand slam of the year against these guys. He's hit 2 home runs today with 4 RBIs. That ball hit high in the air into right center field, but not deep enough. Curtis Goodwin puts the ball into his glove, and there's 2 down. Here's Manny now. He homered his last time up. Manny snapped an 0 for 7, slumped with the home run. And looks high, ball 1. Yankees lead the AL East by 15 games. They're 75-27. Cleveland by 11.5 over Minnesota, 62-45, the Indians' record. The real race in the West in the American League. Anaheim by a game over Texas. Seattle is 10 back and fading fast. They drop 3 to the Indians. Anaheim picked up Charlie O'Brien. Texas has gotten Zeal and might be getting a lot more than that. And Manny almost got hit. 3 balls, no strikes. National League races. Atlanta by 14 over New York. As he just did get out of the way of that ball. Cubs trail Houston by 3.5. San Diego by 13 over San Francisco. And the Padres a game and a half behind Atlanta for the best record in the National League. That's going to be a real interesting race to see how that one winds down the rest of the year.
Big advantage if you have the best record. You play the wild card team with the last game in your ballpark, which is a big advantage, especially in 3 of 5.
3 balls, 2 strikes now to Manny. Pop. And well out of play. Hope you enjoyed the interview last night with Allison Payne and Mark Grace. On the award-winning WGN News, Mark said during the interview he wants to be a broadcaster. He said he wanted to be the next Steve Stone. How about that, partner? Leanna Smith watched that interview from Durant, Iowa, and wanted to know, how about that? Maybe we can get 3 in the booth. Have you, me, and Mark Grace.
I think Mark's got a few more years left to play, especially with his hitting stroke. But, you know, you can't just walk into the booth. You have to start at Keokuk, Iowa, go to Des Moines.
Panama City, Florida.
Oh, yeah. A few other places first to hone your skills.
Ball 4 outside. Problem is, if we sent Mark down to Panama City, I don't think we'd ever get him back. That's a beautiful place down there.
Gene having some problems, and Jeff Reed out to talk with him. So Terry Mulholland will get an opportunity for a save, because he came in with the tying run in the on-deck circle, and if he successfully gets through the 9th inning, he would pick up a save.
First and second, 2 outs. 2 runs in the 8th. And Terry fouls it back. It'll be interesting to see what happens to the makeup of this Cub pitching staff if the Cubs are able to swing a draft deadline deal or trade deadline deal today. A strike. 0-2. The Cubs have made no secret they'd like to get another southpaw down there. And the quality of which I think has a lot to do with what's going to happen with Terry Mulholland, if he moves into the rotation or not. As you said, and I couldn't agree more, the way he's pitched out of the pen, you can't risk putting him in a starting role.
Not if you only have the 2 left-handers. If you pick up one, and of course the names of Rincon and Christensen from Pittsburgh seem to be an ideal fit, but we'll have to see what happens there. But if you pick up a left-hander, then you have the flexibility, at least, of either going with 3 in the pen or moving Terry in, depending on what Don Wengert does. Wengert has thrown the ball very well twice, so he'll probably earn another start.
Terry, line drive, left field, base hit. How about that? Blauser around third. He's going to score. You look up the word professional in your dictionary, and that's the face you see. Terry Mulholland with a big base hit. And I think Don Baylor's seen enough of Mr. DeGene.
Terry Mulholland drives this ball into left field. His first run batted in of the year on his 2nd hit.
So DeGene, in a word, was awful. He's given up 3 runs. He's walked 3 men, a home run, 2 hits. The Cubs have scored 3 times, have runners first and second, and still are threatening here in the 8th inning.
So you're BF Goodrich Tires. Take control.
8-1 our score in the 8th inning. Mike DeGene gives up 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. The men aboard belong to him, and now Dave Veers is on for Colorado.
Veers on for the 42nd time. And an 0-1 record, a 3.42 ERA. He inherited Cubs at first and second. And with this one well in hand, you'd kind of like to save him for the rest of the series.
Well, checking out the internet again, the Pittsburgh papers tell us that Larry Himes, the Cubs special assignment scout, was in Pittsburgh last night watching Lieber pitch. He got crushed for the Pittsburgh team, but he may have been there looking at someone else too. So maybe the Cubs and Pirates will be able to swing something before the deadline strikes midnight. Outside to Brant Brown. Another trade has been consummated. Two balls, no strikes. No, it's not another trade for catfish. Remember that kid that got traded for 10 pounds of catfish the other day? The Boston Red Sox traded Joe Hudson to Milwaukee for Eddie Diaz, a trade that's of great import for both ball clubs.
I think that's very important to both ball players. I'm not sure if it's going to help the teams.
The 2-1 pitch. Brant Brown with a base hit and a run scored for the Cubs today. Missed inside. Man, these guys can't throw strikes at all, can they? 3-1.
7 walks so far, is it, Cub hitters?
The 3-1. 3-2. So we'll be off and running here with Mulholland and Alexander in an 8-1 Cub game. We're in the 8th. A beautiful day at the ballpark. The Cubs trying to win game number 62. And ball 4, they're loaded. Man, oh man. 4 walks in the inning. Don Baylor saying, oh my goodness, my right arm for somebody who can get somebody out. You know, it's amazing. Managers often and always pay the price when their players don't perform. But he's not the guy throwing ball 4 every time.
And you can only pitch the guys that you have on your team.
And now we understand that Cardinal-Texas trade is official. Stottlemyre and shortstop Royce Clayton to Texas for left-hander Darren Oliver and Ramon Tatis. Morandini swings and misses. 0-2. Fernando Tatis, I beg your pardon, for the Texas team. He's so young I forgot his name. Nothing in 2 for Morandini. Bases full of Cubs. The pitch swung on, bouncing ball through the wicket into center field. 1 run scores. Mulholland runs through the red light, and now he's going to head for home. The throw is high. He slides home and is retired. Terry stopped at third. Brant Brown crawled up his back, and then Mulholland had no other choice but to head for home, and he was retired to end the inning. But Morandini does get a hit, does drive home 1 run, and Henry Rodriguez hits his second 2-run homer in today's Cubs 9-1 game.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, offering low fares and frequent flights. Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the Chicago Cubs.
Hercules.
What?
On the next Hercules. Saturday at 3 on WGN.
9-1 Cubs lead after 8. Here's that wacky base running play that ended the Cubs 8.
Well, Tom Gamboa did give Terry Mulholland the stop sign, so he stopped. But unfortunately, that stop sign didn't hold over to Brant Brown. And then they decide they're going to throw home, and Terry is hung out to dry. But the Cubs pick up 4 as they've run away and hid in this one. And Terry Mulholland can pick up a save if he gets out of this 9th.
He's got to go through Vinny Castilla, Todd Helton, Mike Lansing. Brant Brown moves from center to left, and Lance Johnson takes over in center. Mulholland trying to earn the save. The Cubs trying to earn the win in the count 2-0.
Chuck McElroy loosening up in the bullpen for Colorado, just in case they tie it up.
Three balls, no strikes. Wonder who starts the game for the Cardinals tonight now.
Well, they've started Kent Bottenfield on a number of occasions in a number of emergency situations, so maybe it'll be Kent. He's done a nice job for them because he's been used to do everything but throw batting practice and hit infield.
Maybe they ought to send Dave Duncan out there. He's about the only guy that hadn't started for him this year.
Well, it's been a very, very tough year. Disappointing for the Cardinals. And maybe they'll unload a couple more folks before the Cubs go down there for what should be a most entertaining weekend. The 7th, 8th, and 9th of August. The Cubs-Cardinals weekend in St. Louis. Always an adventure.
Those Cardinal fans will have those very neatly penned big signs to hold up when McGuire comes to bat. Great fans and great penmanship down in a place that my grandfather once affectionately called Bush Memorial Hospital.
Yes, he did indeed. It was during a stand-up. One of the real good moments.
That ball rifled foul out of play by Helton. Ellis Burks traded during this ball game to San Francisco for Darrell Hamilton, and a youngster and a player to be named later.
But Texas has been very active, realizing that the division is there for the taking. You got to believe that Anaheim's got to make a deal. With Texas as active as they've been, and Anaheim searching for some pitching. You know, Anaheim thought that they had a good shot at Stottlemyre, but came up a little short, and Texas eventually convinced them to make the deal down there. So Doug Melvin doing a pretty nice job trying to keep his team a step ahead of the Angels.
That ball hit high in the air to right. Sammy on the run and makes it over the head catch. What a play. That ball kept carrying, and Sammy reached up and made a beautiful catch among the ivy leaves.
Well, I think this says everything you want to know about Sammy Sosa. This game, you're 8 runs up. Sammy is chasing Roger Maris. He doesn't care about anything but catching the baseball. That's his job on defense. That's the job he did. And he gives you 100% every instant he's out on the field, and Todd Helton absolutely can't believe it.
So Lansing stands in. Kerry Wood on his way to his 11th win of the year. He'll go to 8-0 at Wrigley. He'll win his 3rd consecutive game. He'll run his mark now to 11-5.
And if there's any doubt about the Rookie of the Year, in head-to-head competition, Kerry Wood against his 2 leading competitors, Helton and Travis Lee, has yet to give them as much as 1 base hit.
And his team's in the hunt for a postseason berth. Can't really fault Lee for that in Arizona, but certainly with this Colorado ball club, that has to factor in a little bit. 2 balls and a strike. Hit hard and through the left side for a hit by Lansing. He's had a fine day today, Stoney. Lansing now with 3 base hits on the day. First and second with 1 man out. First Cubs fans, Monday, August 3rd. First 10,000 fans coming to the Cubs Diamondbacks game get a replica of the first night game program, compliments of ComEd. For tickets, stop by the Wrigley Field box office or call 312-831-CUBS.
We got Matt Karshner loosening up as Phil Regan goes to the mound. And I know Terry is not going to win the save title, so it might be a good time to bring in Karshner and give him his christening as a Cub pitcher for the first time. And there's a look at Matt. Made the nice trip out to Arizona. Didn't get in the game to turn around and come back to Chicago.
That's easy. Anybody can do that. Nothing like cross-continental flight, pal.
Get to read, relax, stretch out.
Watch a movie that you've seen 176 times.
In those, you know, and for you, you get to stretch out in those comfortable coach seats.
Absolutely. Middle seat. Love it when you get those travel snafus. It's a lot of fun. Middle seat next to 2 sumo wrestlers is preferable. Hopefully my plane is in that young lady's sights. 1 ball, 1 strike. But the Cubs will be in good hands tomorrow. Josh Lewin and George Brett on a network that Arnie Harris won't allow me to name. But make sure you tune in the pregame show and look quick. 2 balls and a strike to Jeff Reed. Reed's 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Inside and tight. 3 balls and a strike. 3-1, bouncing ball toward first. Funny hop. Grace will flip to Mulholland, and Terry retires Reed. Well, it's a good thing that the Rockies don't have Andy Fox in their lineup. Otherwise, it might be a different story today. He murdered us down in Arizona. But today, too much wood and too much on the long ball. And this crowd on its feet once again. 2 on, 2 outs. And Terry Shumpert.
Former Cub Terry Shumpert. Just recently recalled with a pinch at bat.
Pulled foul past first. It's 0-1. Cubs will go back to 14 over 500, 62 and 48. We'll pick up a half game on Houston, who plays later tonight in Pittsburgh. One ball, one strike. That ball hit high in the air to right. Sammy comes charging. He's under. He's got it. And the Cubs win the ball game running away. Sammy hit a home run. Henry hit a couple of home runs. He drove in 4. And the Cubs rout the Rockies in game 1 of the weekend series by a final score of 9-1. Kerry Wood now 8-0 at Wrigley Field. Runs his record to 11-5. The Cubs hammered Jamie Wright, who falls to 5-10. Back with more from the friendly confines right after this.
This group of professionals.
Here's a look at our Budweiser play of the game. In the first inning, Sammy Sosa with 2 outs took a 3-2 pitch into the basket in right field. His 42nd home run. That's the second highest total in the major leagues. It gave the Cubs a 1-0 lead, and they never looked back, routing Colorado by a score of 9-1. Kerry Wood beats Jamie Wright. Terry Mulholland saved it. Second largest crowd of the year saw it. 2 hours and 25 minutes, our time of game. Back with a final word from the friendly confines right after this.
Why are these things? I call 1-800-IT-PAYS-2. Accepted where you see the Novus sign.
Here's a look at your final line score for the Cubs. 9 runs, 8 hits, no errors. Colorado 1 run, 6 hits, no errors. Kerry Wood now 8-0 at Wrigley Field. 1 win shy of Kevin Foster's record of 9 straight wins here at the friendly confines. Jamie Wright took the loss. He falls to 5-10. Terry Mulholland's 3rd save of the year. Sammy Sosa with his 42nd home run of the year. Henry Rodriguez hit 2 of them. Manny Alexander 1 as well. Cubs take game 1 of the 3-game series. Game 2 on national TV tomorrow. Then we're back at it Sunday with the leadoff man at 1 o'clock. Good pitching matchup. Mark Clark against Pedro Estacio. Join Steve for the leadoff man at 1 o'clock. First pitch around 1:20. Yes, indeed. The second largest crowd of the year at Wrigley Field came and saw what they wanted to see. Kerry Wood a win. Sammy and Henry and Manny all hit home runs, and the Cubs go back to 14 over 500, hammering the Rockies 9-1. For Steve Stone, Arnie Harris, and our entire crew, this is Chip Carey inviting you to stay tuned for the 10th inning show. It's coming up next.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN. Brought to you by Bud Light. With a great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. The new Dodge. From cars to minivans to trucks, it's about change. The new Dodge. Ameritech. In a world of technology, people make the difference. Pepsi. Generation Next. ComEd, the official electric company of the Chicago Cubs. ComEd, what do you do with your power? And by Southwest Airlines, offering low fares and frequent flights. Southwest Airlines, the official airline of the Chicago Cubs.
Chicago is waking up with Chicago's very own GN.
Welcome to the 10th inning show. 40,000 plus on hand at Wrigley Field today. Had a wonderful time at the ballpark. Beautiful weather. Cubs playing very good baseball. Kerry Wood on the mound against the Colorado Rockies with the trade deadline approaching at 11 o'clock. Yes, indeed, a lot of great things to talk about. And the Cubs hammered Colorado by a score of 9-1 today, moving their record back to 62-48 on the year. The Cubs gaining ground in the National League Central and in the wild card race. Plenty of baseball to be played a little bit later on tonight, but plenty of highlights to show you in just a moment. We'll take a break and come back as the 10th inning show continues from beautiful Wrigley Field right after this timeout.
On 700-4-1 rate to enroll.
Happy day at Wrigley Field. There's that big crowd heading for home. 9-1 is your score. The Cubs dump the Rockies on a beautiful Friday afternoon here at the friendly confines. The Cubs taking on this Colorado team that had the second worst earned run average in all of baseball at the start of today's play. And the Cubs and their offense showed you why that's the case with this Colorado team. In the first inning, Sammy Sosa on a 3-2 pitch hit a slider, a laser beam into the basket in right center field. His 42nd home run of the year. That's second to Mark McGwire in all of baseball. Two batters later, Henry Rodriguez goes opposite field, a laser beam, two-run homer for him, and the Cubs had a 3-0 lead. Kerry Wood didn't have great stuff early, but in the sixth he struck out Ellis Burks, who was later traded to the Giants during this ball game. Then against Jamie Wright, Manny Alexander hits a solo home run into the seats in left field, and the Cubs' route was on the way for the 8th inning. And Henry goes deep again. His second two-run homer of the ball game. He drove in 4, and the Cubs go on to knock off the Rockies by a final score of 9-1. The Cubs now just 3 games out of first place behind the Houston Astros in the Central. Houston playing Pittsburgh a little bit later on tonight. So the Cubs win certainly will garner some headlines in Chicago tomorrow. But of course, the big story today in baseball, the trade deadline approaching at 11 o'clock Chicago time. We'll show you some of the big trades that have already been consummated when the 10th inning show continues right after this.
Here we are in this coming this fall on WGN.
Welcome back to the 10th inning show from beautiful Wrigley Field. Chip Caray joining you from Chicago, where the Cubs beat the Rockies by a score of 9-1. Already several big trades consummated today. Let's take a peek at them. As we told you, Ellis Burks traded in the middle of today's ball game to the San Francisco Giants for Darrell Hamilton, a young minor leaguer and a player to be named later. The Giants have been looking for outfield help all season long to help Barry Bonds. Todd Zeile traded from the Marlins to the Texas Rangers for 2 minor leaguers. Texas then had to trade Fernando Tatis to the St. Louis Cardinals. That's the big trade. But first, Juan Guzman goes to Baltimore. Baltimore 17-3 since the All-Star break. They give up to the Orioles Nerio Rodriguez and Shannon Carter to Toronto for Juan Guzman. And the big trade today, the Cardinals capitulating. They give up Todd Stottlemyre and Royce Clayton for Darren Oliver, a good-looking young left-hander, and Fernando Tatis, a third baseman who might have some power in the future. Plenty of trades probably will be forthcoming as well. We don't know if the Cubs will be active or not. They did pick up Matt Karchner. The trade deadline is 11 o'clock Chicago time, and lots more deals are expected before the day is through. We'll be back at it on Sunday afternoon, perhaps with some new Cubs, perhaps not. In any event, join us at 1 o'clock for the leadoff man with Steve Stone. First pitch around 1:20 or so as the Cubs and Rockies continue in Game 3 of this 3-game set. A lot of things to like if you're a Cub fan today. Kerry Wood's 11th win, his 8th in a row at Wrigley Field. Henry Rodriguez, 2 home runs, and Sammy Sosa with his 42nd blast of the year, second in all of baseball, as the Cubs dump the Rockies 9-1. For Steve Stone, Arnie Harris, and our entire crew, Chip Caray, thanks for joining us. We'll see you Sunday. Until then, so long, everybody.
WGN TV on the web, the latest.